My sister-in-law announced her pregnancy at my wedding reception and stole all the attention. But months later, I started noticing she had no pregnancy symptoms, so I exposed her in front of everyone. I, 29F, got married a few months ago, and unfortunately, my wedding day drama is still haunting me. During the reception, in front of all our guests, my sister-in-law, Dana, 32F, decided it was the perfect moment to announce that she was pregnant. She literally grabbed the mic after our first dance to share her special news right in the middle of our celebration. Guests started congratulating her and my older brother Kyle, 35M, instead of focusing on our wedding. I was furious internally, but I didn't want to make a scene at my own wedding, so I bit my tongue. It was our day, and she managed to hijack the spotlight. For some context, Dana is married to my brother, and she has always craved attention. She's the type who has to one-up everyone's special moments. For example, she actually wore a sparkly white dress to my engagement party, basically trying to look like a bride. I brushed that off at the time to keep the peace. She constantly shifts conversations to herself. If I mention a work promotion or new car, she'll immediately jump in with a story about how she did something even better or has a more luxurious item. Family dinners end up being all about her health issues or work drama or whichever friend she's feuding with. Calling her out on this behavior is futile because she turns on the waterworks and makes herself the victim. Still, I never expected her to do something as brazen as what she pulled at my wedding. Leading up to the big day, she was surprisingly low-key, probably because she wasn't the center of attention, and it bothered her. She wasn't a bridesmaid, but she tried to insert herself in other ways, giving unsolicited input on decorations, menu, etc. I kept her at arm's length. On the wedding day, everything was beautiful until her announcement. I remember being mid-bite of cake when I heard her voice over the DJ's microphone. She gave a quick congrats to me and my husband, then gleefully announced that she and my brother also had exciting news of their own. They were expecting a baby. Even my husband looked stunned at her audacity. I maintained a polite smile in public, gave her a hug and a congratulations, but I was seething. Later that night, when most guests had left, I pulled Dana aside and told her how inappropriate her timing was. She brushed me off with a fake apology, saying she just couldn't hold in her excitement and that it was pure coincidence it happened at my wedding. My brother Kyle tried to defend her, saying they'd been trying for a baby for years and she was just emotional. I dropped it to avoid further drama. I didn't want to ruin my own wedding night. I figured I'd just move on and focus on starting my married life. In the weeks after, the family's attention completely shifted to Dana's supposed pregnancy. My parents were over the moon about the idea of their first grandchild. They started buying baby items and discussing nursery plans. Every conversation with my mom turned into an update on Dana, her cravings, her nursery theme ideas, etc. It was like my wedding was forgotten and the spotlight was right back on Dana, which I suspect is exactly what she wanted. I tried to be supportive if her pregnancy was real. Kyle and Dana have been married 5 years with no luck conceiving, and I know that weighed on my brother. There were quiet mentions that they had fertility issues, but they never shared details. So, even though her timing was infuriating, I told myself that if she was truly expecting after all that struggle, I'd swallow my resentment and be happy for them. However, as the months went on, I started noticing odd things. By what should have been her 3rd or 4th month, Dana didn't have even a slight baby bump. She's a heavier woman to begin with, but still, she also never seemed to have any pregnancy symptoms. No mention of morning sickness or fatigue. In fact, I caught her drinking alcohol at a family barbecue about a month after the wedding. I quietly asked my brother, is Dana supposed to be drinking? He just shrugged and said, apparently, her doctor told her the occasional glass was fine. It sounded off to me, but I didn't press it then. Later, on social media, she posted an ultrasound photo that looked oddly generic, like something from Google. She captioned it as her baby's first picture, but when a friend asked if she'd heard a heartbeat yet, Dana gave a vague answer that it was too early to hear. That made no sense for how far along she claimed to be. My husband even found a phone app that generates fake ultrasound images, and the sample picture was identical to what she posted. We both started to seriously suspect that she was never pregnant at all. Fast forward a couple months after my wedding, I found out I was pregnant. We weren't trying super hard, but we weren't preventing it either, and we were thrilled to get the positive test. I'm about 4 months along now. Under normal circumstances, my husband and I would have announced it to family by now. But with Dana's pregnancy fiasco still ongoing, we've kept my news hidden. It's been tough hiding it. I don't drink at family events anymore, which raised a few eyebrows, and I'm wearing baggy clothes to cover my little bump. My husband thinks it's absurd that I have to hide something so important and happy. He's eager to just announce it. Logically, I agree. I hate that this joyful time is being overshadowed by her nonsense, but I also know that if we announce now, Dana will absolutely explode. She'll accuse me of copying her or trying to steal back the spotlight. She stole my wedding moment. I have zero doubt she'd try to ruin my pregnancy announcement, too. At this point, Dana has doubled down on her lie. She posts constantly on Facebook about her pregnancy, cutesy weekly updates, and even plans for a huge gender reveal party coming up. She's been hinting she's expecting twins. Of course, she is. Got to max out the attention. My parents and brother remain completely convinced. My brother already painted the nursery and bought furniture with my parents' help. It makes me sick watching them pour time and money into this phantom baby. It's one of the reasons I haven't announced mine. I fear it would just escalate the insanity. If I announce now, I suspect Dana would do something crazy like fake a miscarriage and blame me or claim I'm trying to one-up her. I don't trust her not to make my announcement into a huge drama. I've considered just blowing up her lie, maybe confronting her at her upcoming gender reveal in front of everyone. Part of me really wants to expose her publicly, but I worry I'll come off as the villain if I handle it wrong. And if, by some microscopic chance, she isn't lying, I'm 99% sure she is. But still, I'd be ruining a genuine pregnancy announcement. My husband and a couple close friends who know the situation think I should just announce my pregnancy and not care about her reaction. They say her house of cards will collapse soon enough. Anyway, maybe they're right. Honestly, I'm tempted to wait until her supposed due date passes when her lie inevitably falls apart so I can announce without her interference, but that's months away, and it's getting hard to hide. Would I be wrong for keeping my pregnancy secret a while longer to avoid feeding into Dana's drama? Update 1. 3 weeks later, Dana's big gender reveal party turned into an absolute circus. She hosted it at a park with friends and family. During the reveal, she and my brother popped a giant balloon that released both pink and blue confetti. Yep. She dramatically announced they were expecting boy-girl twins. People were showering them with congratulations and expensive gifts. I'd guess a few thousand worth of baby stuff was piled up. I stood there feeling sick, knowing it was probably all built on a lie. What I did next was probably not the most tactful, but I don't regret it. I noticed Dana sneak a glass of alcohol, trying to be subtle. In front of everyone, I called out to her, basically asking how she could be drinking alcohol if she's supposedly pregnant with twins and so close to delivery. The whole place went silent. Dana tried to laugh it off, saying it was just a sip and that I was making a scene. I didn't back down and said that I didn't believe she was pregnant at all. You can imagine the chaos. At first, people were angry at me for ruining the party. My mom tried to shush me, and Dana started fake crying, accusing me of attacking her on her special day. My brother was confused and kept asking what I was doing. I refused to budge. I flat out said that, yes, I was calling her a liar, that she was never pregnant. The minute those words left my mouth, all hell broke loose. My mom rushed up to me, trying to get me to calm down, and Kyle asked Dana if any of this was true. Under the pressure, Dana just crumpled. She burst into tears and sat down on a chair, hiding her face. Through sobs, she admitted it. She confessed to everyone that she'd been faking the pregnancy. Then, a few of Dana's friends started yelling at her, and my parents looked absolutely shell-shocked. Kyle just stood there. Dana kept babbling through tears about why she did it. She said she was terrified Kyle would leave her because of their fertility problems, so she thought a fake pregnancy would buy time or somehow save the marriage. She admitted she faked ultrasounds with an app and that being overweight helped her hide the lack of a real bump. It was all kinds of messed up. People started filing out, grabbing their gifts off the table as they left in disgust. What a disaster. The party ended right then and there. My parents were heartbroken and angry. They'd spent a lot on those nursery items. My brother, I've never seen him so defeated. He left without saying a word to Dana. I think he needed to get away from her immediately, and I don't blame him. After everyone left, Dana approached me, crying and begging me not to tell anyone else beyond those who witnessed it. She said she'd set things right by faking a miscarriage soon so that no one else has to know. I told her flatly that she needed help and that I wasn't going to lie for her. I then left with my husband. In the days since, my family has been in varying states of anger and sorrow. My mom was furious with Dana for squandering what should have been a joyful dream, her first grandbabies. My dad mostly looked sad and disappointed. Both of them are also a bit upset with me for the way I exposed her. They wish it had been handled more privately, but they understand it had to happen. Kyle is staying with my parents and has barely spoken to Dana, aside from one text telling her she needs serious therapy. He's devastated, but also livid. As for me, I haven't yet announced my own pregnancy. I'm still waiting a bit for the dust to settle. I had to attend a cousin's wedding this week and squeezed into a dress that barely hid my 5-month bump. A few relatives gave me knowing looks, so I suspect the secret won't hold much longer. Anyway, my brother actually asked me quietly at the wedding if I was pregnant. He noticed I wasn't drinking, and my body has changed. I didn't want to pile on him during his crisis, so I deflected, joking that I just gained some weight. He looked unconvinced. At this point, I plan to announce my pregnancy to my family in the next week or so. I at least won't have to worry about stealing her thunder. There is no thunder left to steal. It's sad that it had to go down this way, but I'm relieved the fake pregnancy is over. Now we can all start to heal and hopefully focus on the real baby on the way without Dana's drama looming over us. Update 2. 6 weeks later, about 6 weeks have passed since the gender reveal implosion. Things between my brother and Dana went from bad to worse. Initially, Kyle was staying at our parents' house, not speaking to Dana, but eventually he went back to their home to get his things and have a final confrontation that unsurprisingly turned into another shouting match. According to my brother, when he asked Dana why she lied, she actually tried to spin it and accused me of pressuring her until she had a breakdown at the party. She even claimed that she only confessed because I cornered her and that she really was pregnant. Yes, she was still clinging to that story. He didn't buy it for long. He demanded proof, doctor's notes, appointment info, anything. Of course, she had nothing. He then found the fake ultrasound app on her phone along with saved sonogram images that were clearly generated. When he confronted her with that, she went berserk, screaming, throwing things, and even smashing the crib in the nursery in a rage. Kyle walked out mid-tantrum and told her it was over. He's now moved out for good and has contacted a divorce attorney. Dana, meanwhile, ran to her own parents who live across the country and fed them some story that she'd been harassed and mistreated by us. Her parents actually flew in, initially furious at me and my family because they believed her lies. That changed fast. We sat them down and showed them the actual proof of what happened. They were horrified and apologetic. Dana's mom ended up in tears, and her dad was red with anger at Dana for wasting everyone's time and trust. They have since cut off any financial support they were giving her and told her in no uncertain terms she needs help. With the air cleared, at least among our immediate family, I finally announced my own pregnancy to my parents and brother. I'm now about 6 months along and couldn't hide it much longer. Anyway, I told them a few weeks after the reveal disaster once emotions settled a bit. Thankfully, they were overjoyed. It was the one bright spot in all this drama. My mom cried happy tears. My dad was thrilled. And my brother gave me the biggest hug and said he was genuinely happy to have a real niece or nephew on the way. It felt so good to share positive news for a change. Of course, Dana did not take that well either. The moment she got wind, I suspect one of the extended relatives mentioned it, she went into another tailspin. She actually showed up at my house one evening uninvited and unhinged. She pounded on my door, screaming that I stole her thunder and that I'd always been jealous of her. I refused to engage. I shouted through the door that she needed to leave, or I'd call the cops. She yelled a few more insults and something about my pregnancy being a copycat move, but after I repeatedly warned I was dialing 911, she eventually left. We did call the non-emergency police line afterward to report the incident just to have it on record. After that outburst, my parents and brother each told Dana to stay the hell away from me and my home. We're looking into a restraining order if she keeps this up. The stress is the last thing I need while pregnant. Kyle, for his part, is heartbroken and angry that his wife turned out to be this way, but he's focusing on the divorce and trying to support me where he can. I'm hopeful that with legal action in motion, divorce, and her lies exposed, we're nearing the end of this nightmare. I'll update again in a couple months. Hopefully with a drama-free baby arrival. Wishful thinking, I know. Update 3. 2 months later, it's a couple months later, and I'm now about 8 months pregnant. The madness with Dana hasn't let up, though there are signs it's catching up to her. First off, believe it or not, Dana had a lawyer send me a letter threatening to sue for intentional infliction of emotional distress because I exposed her lies. It's absurd and empty. My lawyer essentially laughed it off. I'm not intimidated, just annoyed. Meanwhile, my brother Kyle officially filed for divorce. Dana is dragging it out and refusing to sign papers, sending him alternating nasty texts and begging voicemails. It doesn't matter. The divorce will go through regardless. Dana's own parents have cut off her finances entirely. They're done enabling her after the fake pregnancy stunt, but now Dana is desperately trying to salvage her reputation. She's been telling extended family that she only faked the pregnancy because Kyle abused her and forced her to. This outrageous lie actually fooled a few distant relatives who didn't know better. Some even called to ask if it was true. We quickly set them straight. Most are horrified at Dana's nonsense, but it's caused a rift for sure. The fact that she's trying to pin her deception on my brother being some monster is beyond infuriating. As for me, I finally went public with my pregnancy. Couldn't hide it anymore at 8 months. Predictably, Dana turned her attention to harassing me online. She began posting nasty comments on any social media post I made about my pregnancy, calling me a copycat, a fake, you name it. I blocked her accounts immediately. She made a couple new ones. I blocked those, too. I eventually locked down all my accounts to private. Not going to lie, it's exhausting. The biggest drama recently came at my baby shower last week. Of course, we did not invite Dana, but she found out when and where it was, likely through a relative who innocently mentioned it. In the middle of the gift opening, she barged in. She started ranting that she had a right to be there because she's family and that we all cut her out. She was yelling like a maniac in front of all my friends and relatives. We were prepared, thankfully. A couple of my cousins and one of my husband's friends, a big guy, immediately intercepted her, and we actually had an off-duty cop friend at the door just in case, escorted her right out before she could do more than make a 30-second scene. Still, it was upsetting. If that wasn't bad enough, after the party, we discovered that all the gifts from my shower had been stolen out of my husband's locked truck. Someone broke a window and took every last present. We filed a police report, but no surprise, no solid evidence. I have zero doubt in my mind that Dana was behind it, given the timing and her spitefulness. But without proof, there's not much we can do except fume. My family and friends have been incredibly kind, rallying to replace a lot of the items, but still, I feel bad. At this point, my family and I are taking extra precautions. We're documenting every harassing message and incident. We've installed security cameras at our house. I'm due to give birth soon, and I've even warned the hospital to not allow any unexpected visitors. It's sad that we have to live like this, but we're dealing with someone who has no boundaries. I truly hope this is the final stretch of Dana's craziness. I'm trying to focus on the imminent arrival of my baby and not let her ruin any more of this experience. I'll update again after the baby comes and hopefully with better news or no news, which would be fine by me at this point. Update 4. 1 week later, our baby girl arrived, and she's healthy and beautiful. I wish I could say that was the end of the insanity, but of course, Dana managed to inject herself into this moment, too. On the very day I gave birth, Dana went on social media to claim that she had a tragic stillbirth. Remember, she was never pregnant, yet she publicly announced she lost her imaginary babies and then blatantly blamed me for it. Dana wrote that stress caused by certain family members, clearly meaning me, led to her loss. It was a lie. As a result, a few people, those still unaware of the truth, bombarded me with hateful messages while I was in the hospital recovering. Imagine reading texts calling you a baby killer right after you've given birth. My husband and mom quickly intervened, informing everyone that Dana was never actually pregnant and that I obviously hadn't caused her any harm. Most people immediately realized the reality and apologized to me, but it still cast a shadow over what should have been pure joy. If that wasn't enough, Dana physically showed up at the hospital where I was recovering. We had warned the maternity ward staff about her. So, when she tried to come onto the floor, insisting she needed to see her niece, security was ready. She caused a huge commotion in the hallway, wailing that she deserved to hold my baby since she lost hers. Hospital security had to escort her out and ban her from the property. I am so grateful we alerted the hospital staff in advance, otherwise she might have burst into my room. On a positive note, Kyle's divorce from Dana was finalized around the same time. He is officially free. He's doing all right, all things considered, and is thrilled to be an uncle. He met his niece at our house shortly after we got home from the hospital. We scheduled his visit for a time we were certain Dana wouldn't be lurking around. He's been cautious about sharing any baby photos on social media just to avoid provoking Dana further. It's sad we have to think about that, but it's the reality for now. As for Dana, after these incidents, she left town to stay with her elderly grandmother, the only person still willing to tolerate her. She's telling Grandma that our family abandoned her after her pregnancy loss. And Grandma, who isn't on the internet and only hears Dana's side, apparently believes her. Honestly, at this point, we're just relieved Dana is out of our immediate vicinity. I have no interest in disabusing Grandma of Dana's sob story if it means that sweet woman will keep giving Dana a place to stay and keep her away from us. Right now, I'm focusing on my newborn and recovering and trying to find some peace. We've tightened security at home and made sure all family know not to let Dana near us. Hopefully, this is the last we see of her for a long while. Update 5. 4 months later, this will be the final update to conclude whatever this was. It's been a few more months, and my baby is 4 months old now. In that time, Dana's downward spiral continued, but it seems she's finally facing real consequences. While living with her grandmother, Dana wasted no time trying to exploit the poor woman. We learned that she somehow convinced Grandma to change her will and leave nearly everything to Dana as compensation for how the family allegedly traumatized her. Utterly shameless. Fortunately, other relatives, Dana's aunts and uncles, discovered this and stepped in immediately. They are working with Grandma to undo that change and protect her assets. Dana's parents were informed as well. Whatever sympathy they had left for her evaporated when they heard she was manipulating her elderly grandma for money. It also came out that Dana was stealing grandma's prescription medications, painkillers, and anti-anxiety meds. We're not sure if she was abusing them or selling them, but either way, it's awful. Shortly after that, Dana showed up back in our city and broke into my brother's apartment. She still had an old spare key and let herself in when he wasn't home. Kyle, he ruined her life. He immediately left the apartment and called 911. The authorities arrived, and came home to find her there, rummaging through his stuff and ranting like a lunatic about how, given her unhinged state, they placed Dana on a 72-hour psychiatric hold for evaluation. Honestly, I think it was long overdue. She clearly needs professional help, and maybe this will be a wake-up call. The aftermath of that incident has made her family take serious action. Her grandmother's care is being transferred to other family members now so that Dana can't isolate and exploit her anymore. Dana's parents are fully on board with this despite the heartbreak of essentially having to take these measures against their own daughter. They see that she's not well and is causing real harm. On our end, we've involved law enforcement as well. I've officially filed for a restraining order against Dana to keep her away from me, my husband, and our baby. This was prompted by some truly terrifying text messages she sent me shortly before the psychiatric hold. From an unknown number, which we later confirmed was her, she threatened my baby's safety, saying ominous things like bad things can happen to babies and that I don't deserve to be a mother. We turned those messages over to the police. So now, on top of everything, Dana could be facing criminal charges for making threats. We're pressing charges if we can. As of now, Dana is out of the short-term psych hold, but her parents have her on a tight leash and are pushing for her to enter a longer-term treatment program. I truly hope she does. I don't hate her. At this point, I actually pity her, but I also need my family to be safe. If she doesn't get help, I fear she'll end up in jail or worse. For my family, we're trying to heal and move forward. Kyle is finalizing the divorce and going to therapy to unpack all the trauma of being with Dana. He's an amazing uncle and has been spending lots of time with my daughter. My husband and I are loving parenthood and doing our best to surround our baby with nothing but love and healthy relationships.